The UEF Prometheus drifted through the asteroid belt like a steel ghost, its floodlights carving jagged shadows across the rocks. Captain Elias Vance exhaled slowly, watching his breath fog the command deck's viewport. 5 months of scanning dead rock, and the only excitement had been a near collision with a rogue fragment. Now, though, the sensor array screamed. "Explain," Vance ordered, his voice gravel-worn smooth by years of command. Lieutenant Kara Voss, her dark fingers dancing across the holo display, didn't look up. Not debris. Structure. Artificial. A pause. Big. Vance leaned in. The scan resolved into a silhouette. A colossal ring, half buried in a planetoid, its edges too precise for nature. Glyphs glowed faintly along its rim, their meaning lost but their intent clear. "Keep out. Wake the specialist," Vance said. Dr. Ren Torres arrived, rubbing sleep from his eyes, his usual sarcasm muted by the sight on the screen. "Well," he muttered, "that's a Titan forge." Silence. Even the ship's hum seemed to quiet. "You're sure?" Vance asked. Torres tapped the glyphs now flickering on the feed. "That's old Federation script. When gods wake, empires burn. Myth says the forges were shipyards that built war machines to fight the first collapse. If this is real..." "It's a relic," Voss finished, "and we just tripped its welcome mat." The deck shuddered. Alarms flared as the Prometheus S system scrambled to compensate. Outside, the forge's ring pulsed, its glow shifting from dull red to searing white. "Energy spike." Voss barked. "Something's." A beam lanced out, not at them but past them, into the void. A second later, the comms exploded with static. Then a voice, guttural, translated through the ship's filters. "Human vessel. You are trespassing on sacred Zorti ground." Vance's jaw tightened. On the tactical display, 3 angular warships materialized from cloak, their hulls marked with the Dominion's crimson sigil. Torres groaned. "Fanatics. They think the forges were gifts from their dead gods." Voss shot Vance a look. "We could run." He almost agreed. Then the forge moved. The ring split, segments sliding apart like a jaw unhinging. Inside, darkness writhed, not empty, but waiting. The lead Dominion ship fired. The blast sheared the Prometheus S starboard shield generator. Sparks rained from the ceiling as Vance gripped his chair. Evasive. "Get us inside that ring." Voss didn't hesitate. The ship lurched, engines howling, as another volley grazed their hull. The forge's maw yawned wider, close enough now to see the storm of energy swirling within. Torres gripped his console. "If we go in there, we don't come back the same." Vance didn't answer. The Dominion's final shot rocked the ship, and the Prometheus fell into the dark. Darkness swallowed the Prometheus whole. The ship groaned as artificial gravity seized it, dragging it deeper into the forge's gullet. Emergency lights flickered, painting command deck in jagged red strokes. Vance unbuckled himself, the taste of copper sharp in his mouth. Someone was bleeding. "Report," he ordered, wiping his lip. Voss stabbed at dead controls. "Systems offline. No propulsion, no comms. Just life support barely." Torres clutched a handheld scanner, its pale glow reflecting in his wide eyes. The walls, look at them. Beyond the viewport, the forge's interior pulsed. Not metal, not stone, but something between, a living alloy, veins of molten light threading through blackened ribs. It breathed. A sound shuddered through the hull. A voice, if noise could be a voice, deep, resonant, speaking in a language none of them knew yet somehow understood. "Intruders." Voss flinched. "Was that?" "You're not Zorti." The words vibrated through the deck plates. "You're not expected." Torres exhaled sharply. "It's the forge. It's alive." Van stepped forward, ignoring the way his boot stuck slightly to the floor, as if the ship itself resisted. "We didn't mean to trespass. We were attacked." A pause. Then, "Prove you're more than thieves." The far bulkhead rippled. With a sound like tearing silk, it peeled apart, revealing a corridor that hadn't been there a second ago. The path sloped downward, lined with jagged crystalline growths that hummed with stored energy. Voss gripped her sidearm. That's not an invitation. That's a trap. Torres adjusted his scanner. Or a test. The old Federation didn't give power. They earned it. Vance made the call. We go. Voss, stay with the ship. Get comms back online if you can. She opened her mouth to protest, but the look in his eyes silenced her. The corridor was hotter than it should have been. Torres' scanner chirped as they walked. Its readings nonsensical. Spikes of radiation, gravity bends where there shouldn't be. Physics is optional in here, he muttered. The path ended at a cavernous chamber. In its center, a sphere of liquid metal hovered, twisting it on itself like a dying star. Above it, a hologram flickered, a battle ancient and apocalyptic. Ships the size of cities crumbling under an unseen force. The first collapse, the Forge intoned. The price of hubris. Vance studied the projection. You were built to stop this. To prevent. To punish. To serve those worthy. The sphere rippled. Prove you're worthy. The floor vanished. Torres shouted as they fell, not down but sideways, into a maze of shifting platforms and searing energy beams. Vance slammed onto a ledge, his ribs screaming. Across the abyss, Torres barely caught himself on a crumbling outcrop. Trial by fire, Torres coughed. Literally. A beam lanced between them, slicing the air where Vance's head had been. He rolled, spotting the pattern, a staggered sequence, a path forward. Move when I say. They leapt, dodged, scrambled through the gauntlet. Halfway across, Torres' ledge dissolved. He slipped, fingers clawing at nothing. Vance caught his wrist. I've got you. Torres' weight nearly yanked them both into the abyss. Below, the darkness churned. Something waited there, patient and hungry. Let go, Torres said quietly. Shut up. Vance hauled him up, muscles burning. The maze stilled. The voice returned, almost approving. Sacrifice was expected. You denied it. The chamber reassembled itself, the sphere now glowing a cooler blue. A new hologram appeared. The Dominion ships outside, circling the forge like wolves. They seek to wield me as a weapon. Vance straightened. And us? You seek to survive? A pause. That may be enough. A shudder rocked the forge. On the hologram, one Dominion ship broke formation, diving toward the ring's entrance. Voss's voice crackled through Vance's comm, weak, broken. But there. Asterisk, Captain. They're boarding. Asterisk. The sphere darkened. Then we begin. The forge trembled as a Dominion breached its gates. Vance's comm spat static, then Voss's voice, tight with panic. Asterisk, they're inside, cutting toward the core. Asterisk. Torres wiped sweat from his brow, eyeing the hologram of the advancing strike team. Crimson armor, plasma rifles. The zealots fire in their stride. They'll slaughter us. Or worse, wake whatever sleeps here. The sphere pulsed, its light deepening to an angry red. They come to claim me, to burn the stars with my fire. Vance stepped forward. Can you stop them? Yes. The word was a blade unsheathed, but the choice is yours. The chamber's walls dissolved, replaced by a panoramic view of the forge's heart, a vault of writhing energy, a throne of coiled machinery waiting for a hand to wield it. Torres inhaled sharply. It's an interface. It wants a pilot. Vance didn't hesitate. Do it. You do not understand, the forge intoned. To bond is to inherit the duty of gods, to judge, to destroy. Another tremor. Closer now. The clang of boots on alien metal. Vance set his jaw. Then judge them. The sphere moved. Liquid metal surged, wrapping Vance's arm in a searing embrace. He gasped as knowledge flooded him. Centuries of war, of empires risen and erased, of the forge's purpose. Not a weapon, but a scalpel, meant to cull the unworthy. Power sang in his veins. The forge woke. Lights blazed alive in cascading waves. The Dominion soldiers froze mid-stride as the corridor around them shifted, walls sprouting barbed tendrils that lashed out with surgical precision. Screams echoed, cut short. Voss's voice crackled through the link. Asterisk, Vance? What the hell is happening? Asterisk. He couldn't answer. The forge showed him the Dominion fleet outside, their guns silent now, their crews staring at the suddenly alive ring. One thought from Vance, and they'd be dust. Torres grabbed his shoulder. "Don't." Vance's hand flexed. He saw Earth in his mind, not as it was, but as it could be, a tyrant draped in the forge's might, burning dissenters to ash. The forge whispered, "They would not have spared you." "I know," Vance said, and he let go. The sphere dimmed. The tendrils retracted, leaving the surviving Dominion soldiers choking in the dark. Silence. Then a single Zordi voice, raw with terror, praying in their guttural tongue. Torres exhaled. "You just handed a god its mercy." Vance rubbed his aching arm, the skin there now etched with faint, glowing sigils. "No, I prove we don't need one." The forge shuddered again, but this time it was different. A sigh, almost. "The galaxy forgets," it murmured. "But you remembered." The hologram flickered, showing the Dominion ships retreating, their engines flaring in frantic escape. The Prometheus hung intact, Voss's relieved face pressed to the viewport. Then the sphere dissolved, the chamber collapsing on itself, the walls peeling back to reveal a path to the surface. Torres frowned. "That's it? No grand farewell." A final whisper, half amused. "When the next gods wake, little air. Stand ready." Then silence. True silence. The kind that comes when something ancient closes its eyes again. Vance took one last look at the now dormant forge. Its ring dark and still as a tomb. "Let's go home." Since Titan Forge, when God's Wake was originally structured as a 3-part story, I'll craft a new section for that continues the narrative while maintaining the tight pacing and HFY themes. This will serve as an extension of the story, introducing new stakes while staying true to the established characters and conflicts. The Prometheus shuddered as it broke free of the forge's dying gravity well. Behind them, the ancient ring folded in on itself, its segmented plates grinding shut like the jaws of some slumbering beast. Vance watched it vanish from the viewport, his forearm still throbbing where the forge's sigils had seared into his flesh. Voss exhaled sharply at the helm. Engines at 60%. We're alive. Mostly. Torres slumped into a co-pilot's chair, his hands shaking. "That thing spoke to you." "What did it?" A proximity alert shrieked. Vance spun toward the tactical display. A ship hung in the void ahead, jagged, obsidian, its hull studded with barbed protrusions like a predator's teeth. Not Dominion. Something worse. Unknown vessel. Voss barked into the comm, "Identify yourself." Silence. Then a voice, smooth and venomous, oozed through the speakers. Asterisk, Captain Elias Vance. "You've been touched by the forge." Asterisk, the alien ship's weapons powered online. Torres paled. "They tracked us." They felt the forge wake. Vance's pulse hammered. The sigils on his arm burned brighter, as if responding to a threat they alone could see. He knew, with sudden, chilling certainty, that this was no chance encounter. The forge's final warning echoed in his skull. "Stand ready." The enemy ship opened fire. Plasma fire lit the void between ships. The Prometheus lurched as a glancing blow scorched its flank, the artificial gravity stuttering long enough for loose tools to float free before crashing back down. Vance gripped his command chair, the forge's sigils flaring hot beneath his sleeve. "Evasive pattern Delta," he shouted. Voss's hands flew across the console, her dark braids whipping as she wrenched the ship into a spiraling dive. Shields at 38%. Wherever they're firing, it chews through armor. Torres stabbed at his scanner, the readouts reflecting in his widened eyes. That's not just a ship, it's a hunter-killer. Ancient tech, predates the Dominion by millennia. Another impact rocked them, and it's not alone. The tactical display bloomed with crimson markers. 3 more obsidian vessels emerging from behind the system's gas giant, their jagged prows cutting through space like knives. The smooth voice returned to comms. Asterisk, you carry a relic's touch human. We will carve it from your bones. Asterisk, Vance's forearm burned hotter. The pain sharpened his focus. Torres, were they? Scavengers, he breathed. Or worse, asterisk Warden Star. Maybe the forge wasn't sleeping. Maybe it was hiding. A proximity alert screamed. The lead enemy ship launched something. Not a missile, but a barbed harpoon trailing crackling cables. It punched through the Prometheus S hull with a sickening crunch, lodging deep in engineering. Breach in Sector 4. Voss reported. There, the lights flickered. Oh hell, they're boarding us. Vance was already moving. Seal bulkheads. Torres with me. He yanked a pulse rifle from the weapons locker, the forge's sigils throbbing in time with his pulse. Voss, keep us flying. She didn't argue, though her jaw clenched. Don't die. The corridors reeked of ozone and blood. Vance and Torres sprinted past sparking conduits, the ship groaning around them. Every third step, the gravity wavered. Voss fighting to keep systems online, while the enemy ship reeled them in like a caught fish. A sound ahead, scraping metal. Vance flattened against the bulkhead as the first scavenger rounded the corner. Towering, its armor was more like an exoskeleton. Chitinous plates fused with crude cybernetics, its face a featureless black visor. It moved wrong, joints bending at unnatural angles. Torres mouthed, asterisk not organic. Not anymore, asterisk. Vance fired. The pulse round tore through the thing's chest, but it didn't fall. It turned, visor glowing crimson, and charged. 3 more shots. The fourth finally dropped it, the scavenger collapsing in a tangle of twitching limbs. The sigils on Vance's arm burned white-hot. Captain, your arm! Torres pointed. The dead scavenger's visor shattered. From its skull poured not blood, but a viscous silver fluid, the same liquid metal as the forge's core. It slithered toward Vance, drawn to sigils like iron to a magnet. The ship shuddered. A new voice boomed to the corridors. Not the scavengers, not the forge, but something deeper, older. Thief. Torres grabbed Vance's shoulder. They're not after us. They're after what's inside you. The bulkhead behind them exploded. The Prometheus shuddered as Voss threw the engines into full reverse. Stars streaked across the view screen, their light distorted by the massive structure unfolding behind them like a nightmare origami. Slingshot around the gas giant. Vance gripped a command chair, his sigil-marked arm pulsing in time with the ship's buckling hull. Use its gravity well. A shockwave hit. The screens flared white as the alien megastructure discharged something, not a weapon, but a signal. Across the system, dormant scavenger ships awoke, their jagged prows turning in unison toward the fleeing human vessel. Torres's hands flew across the science station. They're not chasing. They're hurting us. His voice cracked toward the system's edge. Voss's knuckles whitened on the controls. There's nothing out there but dead space. The forge's voice hissed through Vance's bones. Asterisk, not dead. Sleeping. Asterisk. A new alert blared. The Prometheus S-damage thrusters couldn't outrun the closing scavenger net. One of the obsidian ships loomed ahead, its barbed hull rotating to present a cavernous hangar bay. They want us alive, Vance realized. Torres swallowed hard. Worse, they want you. That mark. The comms erupted with static, then a voice both mechanical and organic. Asterisk, surrender the inheritor. The rest may crawl away. Asterisk, Voss met Vance's eyes. She didn't speak. Didn't need to. Jettison the primary fuel cells. Vance ordered. Prepare for ramming speed. Engineering bay, 90 seconds to impact. Liquid metal seeped from Prometheus. S-ruptured conduits, drawn toward Vance like iron filings. He pried open an access panel, revealing the ship's crippled neural core, the same technology derived from ancient Ford fragments. Torres connected his scanner, breath coming fast. The sigils, they're not just markings. They're keys. Another impact rocked the ship. The lights died, replaced by emergency glow strips, painting the corridor blood red. Vance pressed his burning arm against the neural core. Then let's open a door. The contact sent lightning up his nerves. The Prometheus S-dying system surged, not repairing but transforming. Bulkheads reshaped. Conduits rerouted. The ship's computer voice distorted into something older. Asterisk, acknowledge inheritor. Asterisk. Outside, the scavenger ships recoiled as the Prometheus S hull plate shifted, revealing weapon ports of unfamiliar design. Vasa's voice came through gritted teeth. Asterisk. Since when do we have plasma lances? Asterisk. Torres stared at the scanner. We don't. The Forge just remembered them. Final approach. The Prometheus, no longer quite a human ship, tore through the scavenger line. Its new weapons carved glowing wounds in the enemy hulls, but the megastructure loomed larger, its surface now writhing with silver tendrils. Vance's vision blurred. The sigils were burning through his flesh, the Forge's knowledge flooding his mind. Asterisk, this was no enemy. This was a sibling. Another Forge, but corrupted, hollowed out, hungry. Asterisk. The realization came with crushing weight. Asterisk, they think we stole something. Because we did. Asterisk. Vas! Hard to port now. The ship veered as the megastructure lashed out, a tendril of liquid metal wider than a city block whipping past. The Prometheus S new weapons fired at point-blank range, shearing the tendril, but the severed end regrew instantly. Torres gripped Vance's shoulder. It's not working. Vance's eyes reflected the approaching doom. Because we're fighting the wrong war. He reached for the comm. All hands. Brace for translation. The jump. The Prometheus folded space. Not through human jump drives, but by the Forge's will, ripping a wound in reality that swallowed him whole. The last thing the sensor showed was the corrupted Forge recoiling, its tendrils clutching at empty space where the human ship had been. Then, silence. Blackness. Vance floated in the command chair, his body racked with pain, his arm now more silver than flesh. Before them hung not stars, but a gateway. Another Titan Forge, pristine and waiting, its ringed mouth whispering in a voice only Vance could hear. Asterisk, welcome home, thief. Asterisk,